Former President Donald Trump is a convicted felon. Those are the words you're going to hear over and over again between now and November's election.
Donald John Trump.
Don't choke.
Is a convicted felon.
We have gone over a cliff in America. This verdict is a verdict of someone who was forced to fight a 1,000-pound gorilla with both hands tied behind his back. We have convicted a former president of the United States of America. We've gone over a cliff.
Okay, so we have the left wing saying this is the greatest day in American history, and the right wing saying this is the darkest day in American history. Let's just look at the facts. Okay, so if you haven't heard, former President Donald Trump was convicted on 34 counts of falsifying business records in the state of New York. So the first thing I want to do is just see how each side is covering the story. Now, this is Ground News. It's an app that combines related news stories from all over the world and all over the political spectrum and puts it in one place so it makes it easy for us to see. Now, the best thing about Ground News, it shows you the political bias in the media. You get to see stories on the left and right and see how they are covering it. Look at some of these headlines on the left. Lock him up. Trump is now a convicted felon. And the Chicago Crusader. Hallelujah. Maxine Waters rejoices that Trump was convicted in a hush money trial. And on the right, you have things like Kangaroo Court convicts Trump in NYC Soviet show trial. Here, you even have Timcast from here on YouTube. Trump was found guilty on all counts. Trump was rigged. Case was fake. Now, the great thing about Ground News is that you don't have to go all over the internet looking for the articles. They aggregate all the articles in one place. And there's over 600 articles on this Trump situation alone. Now, this is one of the best things about this app is that you get to see all of the media bias all in one place. And then if you just want to read one of the articles, it takes you directly there by clicking read the full article. So let me do something crazy. Let me try to pull back and let you determine if the left side has it more correct or the right side has it more correct. Now, if you're a fan of getting the full picture, go to ground.news/Nate. That's ground.news/Nate. You'll get 40% off unlimited access. Now, let's cut through the crap and try to see this Trump trial without the media bias. So to accomplish this goal, we are going directly to the documents. This is the indictment. This is the statement of facts that led to the indictment, and these are the jury instructions. Now, let's start with the indictment. Trump was charged with 34 counts of falsifying business records in the first degree, which is a violation of New York Penal Law, Section 175.10. Even though there are 34 counts in this indictment really only encompasses 11 transactions. Now, to understand that aspect of it, we have to move to the statement of facts. The statement of facts actually tells you what facts led to the charges in the indictment. For instance, they start off by mentioning that former President Donald Trump had an agreement with American Media, Inc. That is the company that handles the National Enquirer. Now, at the end of paragraph 7, it says that the National Enquirer, who's owned by AMI, admitted in a non-prosecution agreement, that's an agreement not to prosecute them, that it made a payment to a source, that source is Karen McDougal, of a story to ensure that the source did not publicize damaging allegations about the defendant, Donald Trump, before the 2016 election, thereby influence that election. I don't care what anyone else is telling you. This whole conviction and this whole trial came down to one particular story. That Stormy Daniels story. And the fact that Michael Cohen paid her $130,000 to sign an NDA. As you can see here in the statement of facts, Cohen created a shell company called Essential Consultants, LLC. Michael Cohen then took out a $131,000 line of credit on his house and then transferred $130,000 to Essential Consultant, LLC. But now, how is Michael Cohen going to be paid back? He was out $130,000. So Michael Cohen then started negotiating with the Trump organization saying that, hey, I have a $130,000 payment to Stormy Daniels, and then I have another $50,000 in other expenses that I haven't been paid for. So I need to be reimbursed a total of $180,000. But now here's where things get complicated. See, if they just paid Cohen back $180,000, Cohen would have to pay tax on that money, which is about a 50% tax rate. So out of $180,000, he would only get about $90,000. So the Trump organization agreed to pay Michael Cohen $360,000. Double. So when he paid his taxes, he would get $180,000 back. And then because Michael Cohen was a good employee, they gave him a $60,000 end of the year bonus. So that made the total that Michael Cohen was going to be repaid $420,000. Now, to pay Michael Cohen back, the Trump organization decided to cut up the payments into 12 installments of $35,000 a month over the course of a year. Now, each payment would be labeled legal services rendered for that particular month. So, for instance, the first payment that was in January would be labeled as legal services that Michael Cohen rendered in the month of January. Now, the Trump team had confirmed that this was the plan. For instance, here's Rudy Giuliani and former President Trump explaining how this all worked.
And Michael Cohen?
Why isn't that
having something?
Where's Mueller on that, sir?
Having something to do with paying some Stormy Daniels woman $130,000? I mean, which is going to turn out to be perfectly legal. That money was not campaign money. Sorry, I'm giving you a fact now that you don't know. It's not campaign money. No campaign finance violation. So
they funneled it through the law firm.
Funneled through a law firm, and the president repaid it.
Oh, I didn't know he did.
Yep.
There's no campaign finance law.
Zero.
So the president,
just like Sean.
So this decision was made by
everybody. Everybody was nervous about this from the very beginning. I wasn't. I knew how much money Donald Trump put into that campaign. I said 130,000. He's going to do a couple of checks for 130,000. When I heard Cohen's retainer of 35,000, when he was doing no work for the president, I said, well, that's how he's repaying. That's how he's repaying it, with a little profit and a little margin for paying taxes for Michael.
But do you know the president didn't know about this? I believe that's what
he didn't
Michael
know about
said.
the specifics of it, as far as I know. But he did know about the general arrangement that Michael would take care of things like this, like I take care of things like this for my clients. I don't burden them with every single thing that comes along. These are busy people.
Did you know about the payments?
Later on, I knew. Later on. But you have to understand, Ainsley, what he did, and they weren't taken out of campaign finance. That's a big thing. That's a much bigger thing. Did they come out of the campaign? They didn't come out of the campaign. They came from me, and I tweeted about it. You know, I don't know if you know, but I tweeted about the payments. But they didn't come out of campaign. In fact, my first question when I heard about it was, did they come out of the campaign? Because that could be a little dicey. And they didn't come out of the campaign, and that's big. But they weren't, it's not even a campaign violation.
So this confirms that there was an arrangement. Trump and Trump's attorney, Rudy Giuliani, said Trump knew about the arrangement, and that since this money didn't come from campaign contributions, it was out of Trump's own pocket, there was nothing illegal with this arrangement. The FEC and the federal government also agreed with this assessment because when they investigated, they cleared the Trump organization of any wrongdoing. And here is a former commissioner of the FEC explaining why this was okay.
Hi, I'm Hans von Spakovsky. I'm a senior legal fellow at the Heritage Foundation, but I also spent 2 years as a commissioner at the Federal Election Commission. That's the federal agency responsible for enforcing the Federal Election Campaign Act, which regulates how candidates for federal office raise and spend money. The supposed campaign finance violation that the U.S. Attorney's Office in New York is claiming is actually not a violation of campaign finance laws. Here's why. In order for the rules to apply, it has to be a campaign-related expense. The Justice Department only once before has tried to claim that these kind of payments are a campaign-related expense. That's when they attempted to prosecute John Edwards. Remember that case? Contributors to John Edwards actually paid money to his mistress, who actually was working for the campaign and had his child. A jury did not believe these were campaign-related expenses, and in fact, John Edwards had 2 former commissioners of the FEC there to testify these were not campaign-related expenses. In fact, when the FEC audited his campaign, the agency itself concluded these were not campaign-related expenses. So this really is not a problem for the president, even though Michael Cohen is pleading guilty to this, because the U.S. Attorney's Office is basically being over-aggressive on this issue. If you take their views to its extreme, it would mean that any time a candidate pays off a legal claim against it, that's a campaign-related expense. Well, if that's the case, remember in 2017 it was reported that members of Congress have paid over $17 million to pay off almost 300 claims made against those members of Congress for sexual harassment and other claims like that. If the U.S. Attorney's Office is right, then all of those would be campaign-related expenses. Why? Because those payments were meant to silence the people making the claim so that the candidates would not be embarrassed. And obviously there's potential violations of campaign finance law. Why? Because taxpayer money was used to pay off a campaign-related expense. That just shows how irrational the view is of the U.S. Attorney in the Southern District of New York, and how far outside it is of the usual view of campaign finance law and violations under it.
Now, over the next 11 months, Michael Cohen was issued one check per month for $35,000, 11 checks in total. Now, with each one of those checks came an invoice, and the company recorded it in a ledger. Now, if you do the math, that's 33 counts. But the reason why there's 34 counts is because on the first check, they made 2 entries into the general ledger and only issued 1 check. So now we've seen the government's side of the coin, what they're alleging, why they're alleging it, and why each count is what it is. But now let's talk about the defense. Now, the first claim of the defense is selective prosecution. The Manhattan DA who prosecuted the case, his name is Alvin Bragg. He actually ran on a platform to quote unquote get Trump. And again, his platform was he is going to get Donald Trump.
And we are together with Alvin Bragg today, running for Manhattan District Attorney to try to remove Cy Vance, I think, whose Cy's been sitting on the gig for a couple of decades. Right, Alvin?
He's a decade. He's going on 12 years at the end of his term. So
12. So I have my issues with Cy Vance, and there's things that I believe he hasn't done well. But one of the things leading into this vote for the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, I know a lot of people are wondering, whoever has this job, are they going to convict Donald Trump?
Look, that is the number one issue. We know he's investigating. And what I'll say is I was the first to announce against Cy Vance. I too have a lot of issues, which is why I decided to run. I'm the candidate in the race who has the experience with Donald Trump. I was the chief deputy in the Attorney General's office. We sued the Trump administration over 100 times for the Muslim travel ban, for family separation at the border, for shenanigans with the census. So I know how to litigate with him. I also led the team that did the Trump Foundation case. So I'm ready to go wherever the facts take me and to inherit that case. And I think, it'd be hard to argue with the fact that that'd be the most important, most high profile case. And I've seen him up front and seen the lawlessness that he can do.
And you believe it should happen?
I believe we have to hold him accountable. I haven't seen all the facts beyond the public, but I've litigated with him. And so I'm prepared to go where the facts take me once I see them and hold him accountable.
Now, the second claim may not be as obvious, but the Trump team is saying that these were legal services. Let me explain. Michael Cohen was Trump's lawyer, and Michael Cohen was tasked with negotiating settlements with people who made claims against the president. So when Stormy Daniels made this claim against Trump, Michael Cohen went in and did exactly what he was paid to do: negotiate a settlement, make the payment, and then get reimbursed for that payment. Legal services rendered. Now, the third argument was pretty simple. This was Michael Cohen's job for the past 10 years. Michael Cohen was known as Trump's fixer. So this wasn't anything special for the campaign, but something they had been doing for years. Now, even though morally it may seem suspect, but Donald Trump didn't want his wife and family to find out that he was having these affairs with these women. This wasn't in the furtherance of the presidential campaign, which would be illegal, but this was a man who wanted to keep his secrets from his wife. Immoral, yes, but illegal, not so much. Trump's last argument, which most people think is the strongest, is their argument against violations of the Federal Elections Campaign Act. The campaign finance law piece is extremely, and I mean extremely important, because the New York state government had to prove that Trump and the Trump organization violated federal campaign finance laws. If the New York prosecutors can convince a New York state jury that the Trump organization violated federal election law, then they can charge Trump and the Trump Organization with felonies instead of misdemeanors. The Trump team's argument is simple. As CNN reports, the feds actually cleared the Trump Organization of any campaign finance violations in regards to these payments to Stormy Daniels. But now you have a jury in New York State sitting claiming that, yes, the Trump Organization did in fact violate campaign finance law. So on one hand, you have the federal government saying, yes, the Trump Organization didn't violate federal law when it comes to campaign finance. And now you have a state judge with a state jury saying, well, we believe that he did violate federal campaign finance law. So now, in less than 20 minutes, you now know everything you need to know about why Trump was convicted on 34 counts of falsifying business records. Let me know how you feel in the comments section, because half the country believes that this was a just verdict and he should have been convicted, but the other half thinks that this was a sham verdict. You heard all the arguments. Let me know in the comments section how you feel. Who do you think has the better argument? Should he have been convicted? Should he not have been convicted? Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, do all the great YouTube stuff. My name is Nate the Lawyer, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.